Welcome back. President Trump introducing new health care measures yesterday to help Americans. The executive orders make it U.S. policy to protect those with pre-existing conditions. It bans surprise hospital bills and provides 33 million Medicare recipients with $200 drug discount cards. Once again, joining me is former acting White House Chief of Staff and former Director of the White House Office of Management and Budget, Mick Mulvaney. Mick, great to see you. Sorry, your mic wasn't working earlier. Do you have me now?
It's great to see you and to hear you, Maria. So good morning.
Let's talk about the president's new health care initiative. I know that the president wanted to come up with some solutions for health care. Your reaction to these $200 cards and whether or not this is going to resonate?
I think so. I'm not sure where they got the authority to do it, but I'm sure the lawyers have vetted this, and the president has the executive ability to do this. But keep in mind, any executive order is going to be fairly limited. You need legislation to do big things. If we could have fixed health care with executive orders alone, we would have done that back in 2017. But I think what you're seeing here is an important message from the administration that says, look, this is what we stand for. The executive order about pre-existing conditions, for example, is entirely consistent with every single budget that I ever wrote for him. All of our budget proposals protected pre-existing conditions. So it's a way for the administration to let people know what the administration stands for. And if you re-elect the administration, what can you expect from them out of the second term? So I think it's a smart political move. It may help some people, which would be great. But at the end of the day, you're going to need legislation to change healthcare dramatically in this country.
Yeah, of course. He said 33 million Medicare beneficiaries will receive that card in the mail, can be used to help pay up to $200 in prescription drug costs. Look, this will likely come up next week. The first presidential debate taking place on Fox News and Fox Business, 9 p.m. on Tuesday, moderated by Chris Wallace. The topics range from the candidates' records to the Supreme Court, the economy. Mick, what are you expecting? I was really struck by you saying that you think this may be the only presidential debate. Is that right? You still feel that way?
Yeah, I do. I've been saying that for a while. I go all the way back to the New York Times wrote a piece probably 6 weeks ago by Thomas Friedman that encouraged Joe Biden not to debate, or at least to only debate under certain conditions that everybody knows Trump would never agree to. And then a few weeks after that, Nancy Pelosi came out and said that she didn't think Biden should debate at all. So I really do think someone should press the Biden campaign and whether or not they make a commitment now to 3 debates, because there's a very good chance that after this debate, unless it's a complete meltdown for Biden, the left-wing press will come out and say the president is lying, he's abusing the system, and they will encourage Biden not to debate anymore. There's only downside at this point for Joe Biden. Everybody knows he's not a very good debater. Knows that the president is, and when you only have downside, you're going to look for ways not to do more than one. So, yeah, I'd be surprised if there were 3, and I think someone should press the Biden campaign on that before next Tuesday night.
Well, look, I don't think it's inappropriate to say that many people are going to be watching how Joe Biden presents himself and whether or not he does appear on the ball and ready to go, given the gaps that we've seen, right? I mean, so he's trying to make this a referendum on President Trump and his handling of coronavirus. And this is also, I think, a referendum on his capacity and ability to become the commander in chief, right?
Yeah, and I think it's especially true this year because we've not seen hardly any of Joe Biden, and the folks have not seen as much of the candidates in person as they otherwise would. Keep in mind, back when he was a candidate, President Trump could do 4 or 5 rallies a day. When you're president, you just can't do that because of things like security. And Joe Biden has been, as we say, in his basement for a long time. So I think the voters are entitled to see folks to judge for themselves matters that you've just raised. Yes, I think the Biden campaign will try to make the rest of the campaign about COVID because that's where he polls better than the president. And the president, rightly so, should make it about the economy and the recovery from COVID because that's where he's beating Joe Biden by double digits. So the debates in an ordinary campaign, they're important, but in this campaign, they're extraordinarily important. I do think a lot of folks will be watching Tuesday night, and they'll be watching for exactly the things you just mentioned.
Exactly. Real quick, Mick, before you go, we only have a couple of seconds left. Is there any chance we get another stimulus package before the election?
Yes. I still think there is. That they have to pass a couple of things before the end of the year, and I think there's still a chance you get something small. You saw the level of emotion yesterday in the interview that Mnuchin had in front of the Senate. There is still a lot of energy that wants something before the election. I still think there's a chance for something small.
All right, good news there. Mick, great to talk with you. Thanks so much. We will see you soon. Have a good weekend. Mick Mulvaney joining us this morning.